Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So in today's video, it's going to be like a vlog. Not going to be real time obviously because I'm pre-recording this. And then I'll be inserting some of the footage that I've taken, in terms of what I eat in a day. This is something that I keep getting requests on Instagram and also on YouTube. I guess my previous videos, I did mention that I've started introducing things like pumpkin, but I'm still really meat-based, and most of the time I'm actually a strict carnivore. Only on certain days that I would incorporate a little bit of pumpkin, but that's it. But I guess people want to know what it's really like for me in a day on what I eat. The most common question that I got was, what do you actually eat for breakfast? Like steak? So because steak is always like it's not even a lunch meal, it's considered like a dinner meal. So it's hard for people to imagine actually how a carnivore diet works. So I thought that I will break it down to you, but of course this is unique to my own way of doing it. It may be very similar to what you already know, but I think this video is going to help break down to you on how I start my day, how I plan my meal, and then how many times I eat a day, and what are some of the things that I look out for whenever I have my meal. Okay, so to begin, when I wake up in the morning, usually I would straight away have a glass of water, usually big glass of water, like almost half the bottle. I think first thing in the morning, hydration is everything. So I don't really have like a specific number, like I have to have how many cups of water a day. I just go with my thirst, and if I feel thirsty I will drink it, but if I don't I won't. But I'm usually quite a heavy water drinker, not heavy drinker obviously. So I do drink a lot of water throughout the day, because actually the first thing that I ingest in the morning is not just water. After that I will actually proceed to make my cup of tea, which is the organic jasmine green tea. I know that some very strict carnivore out there, they don't include this, but there are those that are doing coffee. I don't do coffee. I used to do coffee when I was doing keto, and it didn't work out very well for me in terms of my mood, my energy level. Surprisingly, I crash very easily. So I found that green tea, especially the jasmine green tea, is something that I like the taste. It doesn't make me feel very jittery. It's a pretty stable kind of energy, but of course it may not work for everyone. So green tea is something that I'll have. And then if it's a day that I'm working out, I would have my electrolyte from Element. So this varies. I do take the flavored version which has stevia in it, but I personally don't have any negative effects from the stevia, not that I know of for now. But sometimes I will go for the raw unflavored Element electrolyte. This is because I think I like to sip on electrolyte early in the mornings, because I would then hit the gym. I would get my workout done right after I have my water, my green tea, and then I will straight away sip on the Element electrolyte when I'm going for my workout and when I am working out, and sometimes even after I finish my workout. But I only stick to a pack a day, and sometimes I don't take it at all, because I did go through that phase where you overdo supplements, because you're not supposed to rely on supplement long term, like more than 3 months. I think that's what was recommended. So I tend to cycle it in and out. So after the workout itself, if it's a day that like a heavier workout, or like a week before my period where I'm supposed to be more nurturing, and I should avoid a lot of like stressors like fasting, so because I have a busy work schedule, I would not try to fast. So right after workout I would have maybe like 45 minutes later, like when I come home from the gym, when I do my makeup, my hair, I get showered, I already put my meat into the air fryer. So by 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, if I'm working from home, my first meal will occur around that timing, and you will see I'll insert the photos along the way. So what do I have for my first meal? So this is after my workout. So really it depends. If it's a day that I would like to fast, it will end up being a lunch. But on those days, like I mentioned, when it's a heavier workout, more intense workout, or when it's convenient, or when it's close to my period, I will actually have breakfast. So that will occur around 9 to 10 a.m. And in that first meal, I would have a giant piece of strip loin. That's my preferred cut of meat. I tend to prefer the leaner side of carnivore diet, because there are those that prefer the fattier. But I would say that I don't stick to this in a very strict way, like it has to be lean throughout. Sometimes when I feel like it, I would add more fats to it. So like your beef suet, and then I will have a side of like lamb rack that is a lot fattier. So a rule that I set for myself for my first meal, whether it's breakfast or lunch, as long as it's the first meal of my day, right, I would need to have minimum 30 grams of protein. So I think I've mentioned this many times, why minimum 30 grams, but I will link Dr. Gabrielle Lyon's scientific explanation below. There's a link below that you can check it out. Is that 30 grams is so important for your body to stimulate, I think it's muscle protein synthesis. Please don't quote me. I think I got it correctly. So it's really setting up the rest of your day. If you're going to have cravings, if you're going to have energy crash, and you're going to feel satiated, I think having that minimum 30 grams of protein in your first meal is very important. So normally I have no issues hitting that, because if you look at my plate, it would normally be 250 grams of steak minimum, and that already has above 30 grams of protein. So my first meal looks like a dinner plate, and then the rest of the day I just go on fasting, because normally after that meal you won't feel hungry. But I must say that if you're adapting to this, if you do feel hungry 2 hours after that, just go ahead and eat. Maybe have some minced beef on standby, which is easy, or some boiled eggs, So it's because your body is not used to it yet. But I've been doing this for 3 years, so I normally eat only 2 meals a day. But going back to this, is that assuming that was my breakfast, then my second meal will fall around lunchtime, which is around 12:30, 1:30. Same thing again, I would sometimes eat the same thing because it's convenient. I really don't obsess about, I need to have a different taste after this, I need to have a different type of meal because I'm bored. I guess carnivore diet has retrained my mindset on how food are supposed to be. It's not for pleasure. I understand food is supposed to give you some kind of pleasure, definitely, which is why we tend to sometimes go for Wagyu beef, when it's so expensive, and we tend to go for lamb because, it's expensive cut, but we enjoy it. I get that food, it's related to, it has to taste good, it's supposed to give pleasure, but at the end of the day, I think food for me, it's all about nourishing your body, knowing that what you eat is going to benefit you, it's going to treat you well. So I think that's why I don't really complain about the fact that my second meal looks the same as the first meal. And even worse, sometimes the 3 meals that I have in the day looks completely the same. So but that's something that I only started becoming used to or adapt to after my second year in carnivore. In the first year, I needed a lot of variety. So if you want to check out, some of the key tips that I have listed down in terms of if you're new to carnivore, I'll link it down in the description box below. So that's something that I talk about in terms of if you're new to it, perhaps doing what I do is not going to be very ideal because you restrict yourself to very limited types of meat. So in my case, I really love just doing beef, lamb. Sometimes I do pork, but very minimal. I don't really like chicken, so I don't go for it. Sometimes I'll do salmon, but I must say that because I'm a very busy person, I like to go to my feel-safe. If my go-to is really just the ruminant animal, which is beef and lamb. Then my third meal. So my third meal will happen around after working, my working hours, which I normally knock off 6:30, and then by the time I get home 7:30, that's when I eat my third meal. So you will notice that on certain days I really don't have that 16:8 or 18:6 fasting window at all. I just go with how I feel, the kind of workouts that I'm doing. If I'm more if I have to do a lot more things where I require to exert more energy, that's when I don't stress myself out by fasting. But I see the use of fasting sometimes when you are very busy on the go. You really don't want to be thinking about, oh, when am I going to have my meal, when am I going to get it. Sometimes it's good to just fast throughout, and that's something that I do when I travel, and I love it, and it keeps me clear-headed. So there is a place for that. So for my third meal, I will normally have things that are a little bit meat that is a little bit more cooked. The reason why I do that is because I noticed that I enjoy ground beef, but you cannot have like halfway rare ground beef because you'll get really sick, right? You need to cook it well. I don't like to have like well cooked meat in the earlier part of the day because I tend to feel like my body is taking more energy to process it compared to the rarer kind of doneness. So I tend to do things like your ground beef, very simple, very easy, because it's already towards the end of the day. I don't want to be thinking so much of it. Another meal that I actually have for my second or third meal that's when I incorporate, when I put in things, the non-carnivore food, which is like pumpkin, right? Which, pumpkin doesn't have a lot of carbs, to be honest. It's mostly fiber. It's considered keto if you don't overdo it. So I will include things like pumpkin towards the later part of the day, and then that's when I'm going to do like some intense heat training the next day, or I know that it's going to be very glycolytic, it's going to be balls to the walls, I'm going to sweat like crazy. That's when I'll include pumpkin the day before. I tend to feel and do better with my workout the day after. So I would have like very lean meat, like another strip loin, some kind of fats. I don't really do well with super fatty meat because I tend to not feel satiated. I do particularly well with lean protein, and then but I wouldn't say that it's throughout. When it's close to my menstrual cycle, obviously things that are fattier is preferred. That's what my body craves. But other than that, I tend to do better with lean meat, and that's when I'm going to partner it up with the pumpkin. The pumpkin is also air fried. All my meat, it's all air fried. I don't use the frying pan, or I don't have a grill. It's just super convenient for me, and I really focus on being more productive on other things rather than preparing dishes. And I used to cut up a lot of salad and blending it together. That takes out a lot of time. So I've been very pampered and spoiled by the air fryer and the carnivore diet. I have a lot of convenience with it. So in between some of these meals, I would sometimes be sipping on tea, my decaf tea, or even decaf coffee. So that's something that I like to share because I'm sure that you want to know, apart from the foods that I eat, what other things that I ingest, right? And then so normally I will end my third meal around 7:30, 8 p.m. latest. I don't want to eat later than that. It's because I tend to not sleep well after that. Before I sleep, I will actually take magnesium glycinate. I'll include the picture somewhere, and this actually helps with my muscle recovery, and I think this is also why I don't really get cramps when I have my period. So for those of you ladies out there, if you have cramps, I think this magnesium glycinate is going to be very helpful for you. But again, supplement is not something that I do normally. I have tried going without this magnesium glycinate, and I can still sleep very well. I recover from my gym, from my workout sessions pretty fast. I don't really get cramps or prolonged soreness. So, apart from that, sometimes for my third meal or second meal, depending if I have 2 meals a day or 3 meals a day, I would actually go out for shabu shabu, which is like hot pot. It's a very Asian thing, you know, and it's the easiest and the most cost efficient way for carnivores to eat, because if you go to an all you can eat buffet, I think Steak and Butter Girl mentioned this a lot, so I do that very often here. I will do it actually once or twice a week. So it can be shabu shabu hot pot, or I will go for like yakiniku, which is like the Japanese barbecue, where they really you just order like raw meat and then you make it yourself. That's like the safest way. I don't have to talk to the waiter and the waitress, you know, telling them please don't cook my meat in oils and marinate it. But when you go to a Japanese barbecue, you do need to mention to them not to put any sesame seed, or they do use some kind of like sweet sauce on the raw meat so that you will fry it after that, or you will grill it after that. So that's something to take note of. I do mention it to them before when I order the meat. So going out for shabu shabu and yakiniku, where I don't really think about how much I'm eating at that part, but because normally I order lean meat, so I'm not afraid if I'm going overboard. Something to note. So that's what I do usually for dinner time, and I enjoy it. So usually on weekends you will see me going for that especially. So yeah, anyways, I hope that this video gives you a sense of what I eat in a day. If you like more real-time like update, I think I'll try to post this kind of stories on my Instagram. And if you're not following me on Instagram, please do. I will include it in the box again below. So yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.